Yonder, you're on, so folks are just waiting for you to go.
Okay. Good day, good day, good day, good day, good day. I'm on for Urban Sentinel for my man Reggie. Thank you again, Reggie. Prayers with you. Get well soon. If I sound a little giddy, y'all, it's because I have one of the New York Times bestsellers in the house, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan. He's a great person. He's a motivator, New York Times bestseller, and his storyline is just amazing. This is what urban fiction is all about. I mean, really, this is, if you've never heard this guy, you have to go pick up his books right now. Without further ado, I introduce you to New York Times bestseller, but also my best friend, Treasure Blue.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I am great. Man, I'm giddy. I look, I'm a fan.
Man, let me just say you something. I really appreciate you, sir. Your years of friendship and being genuine as you are.
Man, you
And
don't meet folks like you.
I'm happy to be here. This is actually my first interview in maybe 7 years.
Oh
I
my
turned
God. I'm
in,
privileged.
yeah, only because I will eventually be getting back out there. So hey, what a great way to start with a good man like yourself.
Well, let me tell them, let me give them what I know about you. First of all, let me tell them how I met you guys. How I met you. I met
Okay.
Treasure, ooh, 20 some years ago. I was putting out my first book. I had the book done. I couldn't get a publisher. I met Treasure with DC bookman Carvelis.
Yes, sir. My
At
man.
Yeah, at George Washington University, he was doing a book signing, and Carvella said, "I need you to talk to the man." So I talked to him, didn't know him from a can of beans,
No,
and he
sir.
started feeding me right there. He said, "Man, you don't need no publisher. Publish your book yourself. Do it." I said, "Okay." Took it with a grain of salt. I bought his book. He signed it. He put his real phone number in there. I read the book. I'm on the subway. I read the book and I'm no good. I'm like, oh, this Joker. He put pen to paper. I was reading Harlem Girl Lost. I was like, oh my God. So you put your phone number in there. I went on vacation. I went to Virginia Beach. I couldn't I couldn't function down there. I supposed to be vacation. I had to finish this book up. So I called you from Virginia Beach. I said, hey, this is John East. I remember you. I met you coffee, all this, da da da. I said, brother, I don't know if you know, but this is a great piece of work. It was like, it's all right, man. It's all right. And I said, well, we started talking. Our friendship came that day. You gave me your real phone number. Folks don't get a real phone number. We do social media this, social media that. And from that day on, we stayed in contact with each other. You always call. And then one of the greatest times I've had with you, Treasure,
Talk to
me,
me.
you, and Carvelis, we did at U Street at, I can't tell you the name of the building. We did a book signing during the Christmas holiday.
Uh-huh.
I'm downstairs, not knowing I downstairs my little booth, not knowing you and DC Bookman Carvelis is upstairs with
Oh,
the whole floor y'all's. Y'all
wow,
came
yeah.
down there and seen me with a you. Carvelis had a old fashioned
The
video
camera.
record on his shoulder, and y'all started singing "Going Up Yonder."
Oh shit.
Done, done. Y'all came see a little nobody like myself. You New York Times bestseller by then. You just sold books. You everywhere. You all 50 states. You everywhere. You doing it. That's before people don't realize. That's before there was internet. We was on MySpace and stuff back then, and there was no Amazon. People don't even realize that Amazon is new to the book world. You came down there and humble, just yeah, you was just humble always. And y'all started saying, "We going up yonder." Carvella's got the tape on it. He got it on VHS tape singing "Going Up Yonder." And I was like, if that ain't a genuine dude that you hugged
Wow.
me, gave me love, and said, man, sell them books out, man. Do your thing. And I've never had that type of encouragement in this book world. As you
Mm.
know, it's a grimy world sometimes. I've never had that From that day on, I knew what I was doing was special because it came from somebody who was already turning the world around. I don't know if you know that they call you the next coming of Donald Goins. It gets no bigger than that.
Wow, wow, wow. That's your gift, brother. You just emasculate a man with genuine kindness and is humbling. And I will be remiss to correct you. I'm not a New York Times bestseller author. I'm a Essence best-selling author.
Okay.
Okay. That's a big
Okay.
difference.
Okay. I'll correct that. Essence best-selling author, the Jet best-selling author, Author to the Streets.
Yes.
Everybody loves them from Treasure Blue. You say his name is like, oh, you ain't read nothing Treasure Blue? I mean, from Harlem Girl Lost to Keisha and Cole. I mean, man, if you pick up a book, you can't put it down. I don't know anyone else like that. You open up page one, you're going to finish this book that day. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care you got to go to the hospital. You're going to finish that book that day because you can't put it down. You have the only book, and I'm an avid reader just like you. I've read 2,000-3,000 books, probably 4,000-5,000. Really, I've read so many books that your book is the only book that gave me anxiety attack. I
Well,
cried. I laughed. I was mad. Uh, I loved y'all. I hated y'all. I, everything, every emotion I could have, I was sweating some days reading the book. That's how riveting your work is.
thank
What
you,
I
sir.
want to know is, where does this soul come from? Where does this writing? Where does this writing come from? I know your background. You're a retired New York New York police New York fireman. But
Yes.
where does that ain't where this came from? Where does that grit come from? Where does that dirt come from? Where does that anxiety come from? Where does that love come from? That passion, that hurt, that ugh.
Um, I put this out there. It's on social media already because I gave this interview, like you said, years ago. And to be square with you, uh, between childhood and military, I was honest with you. I lost my mind. You know what I mean? Up there,
Mm-hmm.
man, and it took me. I didn't know it then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was cold ever since childhood. A problem. And years later, uh, I started getting my yearning for writing because you got to understand, I grew up a problem child. I'm talking, I got kicked out of 3 different high schools, banned in New York City. I couldn't go to a school in the city because they banned me for a year. And so thank God, my 19-year-old sister took me in, you know what I mean? And I just considered myself uh, a, a, a juvenile delinquent, you know what I mean? I just
Mm-hmm.
had it rough. I had to fend for myself, you know what I mean? And so, life is what it is. And I just was taught to keep going no matter what, no matter what. And so when I went into the army, it was a lot of guys that didn't know how to articulate themselves. And I was in New York. I'm from Harlem. I always had the gift of gab. You know what I mean? I'm just a natural born hustler like my dad, a businessman, a realtor. And I just had this gift. I was a great, exceptional liar. I had to be because I was so shy. I felt dirty on the inside, so I had to wear a mask. And so I got really good at it. And in the military happened to be a turning point also because that was the first time in my entire life that somebody called me smart. It was like foreign. I was demonified as that,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that fuel and the trust that the guys gave me, he asked me, "Hey, go to Smalls because he a Harlem, he hustle, you know what, you know." So I start writing it. Liar. I just became an exceptional liar, and I mean, that's the only way I could put it. And I just like they do in AI, just prompt me what you want. And so
Mm-hmm.
they just basically, while they explaining their endearing sentiment to them, I read them. I read their eyes. I read their shift and their tone, and I kind of get it. And it becomes so translucent. I can transfer it into paper, and I honestly can say that I I proposed to a lot of women in my time up there. And a lot of them pat me on the back, all races. Yo, Smalls. She said yes, and it was very endearing, and that was my gift. I always had to hide my uh, transgressions. I would basically I was deemed from family members because I didn't speak until I was probably 4 or 5. They just pushed me off as slow.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother was a fifth grade school teacher and she knew better. She said, no, every time they tried to put me in special ed, she said, no, nothing wrong. She just never let me go.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew something I didn't know, obviously, because
Hey,
anytime I needed to pass a test, I didn't need to study ever. I took it just like I got my GED, one of the youngest recipients in New York State to receive his GED under 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I took it. By mistake, by the way. I got kicked out so many schools and I just gave up, and I saw the officer and a gentleman. I was selling drugs. I was out there. I was the most dangerous teenager out there. I think about now, you know. And when I saw that movie, that camaraderie, it was like when Richard Gere said, uh, try to what's his name? Lou Gossett Jr. tried to
Yep.
push him out. He
Mm-hmm.
knew he was scumming, and in a lot of ways,
He
Richard
said, I
Gere
ain't
was.
got nothing else.
said he didn't have anything else at all. Hey, Treasure, I was just curious and everything like that. 'Cause I was listening to you and Yonda's conversation, and as you were talking, two things came to my mind as I was listening to you and everything. And I was just wondering if you had the pleasure of seeing the parallel and everything. Because one, you talked about writing for other people in the military, and I'm sure you know that's how Alex Haley got started. The creator of Roots is that he wrote a lot of things like you probably did for other military people and everything like that when he was in the military. So he would write love letters for his comrades and things along
I
those
know
lines.
that.
Yep, that's actually how he got started. That's actually, I think that's where he first started writing Roots. But yeah, he was in the military as well, and yeah, he wrote letters for people that were in the military. So I was thinking about that, and then you were talking about your gangster background, and there was a popular movie that features somebody from North Carolina, Frank Lucas, called American Gangster. So I was wondering if you had the pleasure of knowing some of those people as well.
Uh, I have a long history with the underworld.
All right.
Compliments of my neighborhood. I was
Mm-hmm.
birthday. You know what I mean? It
Yes.
was your neighbors was
The
gangsters.
gangsters.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it just, they're human. This is who we are, you know, and we just knew the language. And so I adapt. I can adapt very well. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know, I'm a weirdo. You know what I mean? That's my nickname, the vibrant weirdo. I finally came out the proverbial closet, and I did Harlem Cool Smooth. I just always hid. I always put up shells. I'm I'm ashamed to say it, but I didn't have a girlfriend until 23.
Well, the
But
year
I
20
had
when you were 23 years old.
a true girlfriend. I had many girls, oh, but I never had that girlfriend. I that just wasn't me. I just was too shy. Believe it or not, a grown man, a child. You know what I mean? I can lie very well. That's how I got over.
Right. And it also seems like you were able to go into different environments, because there was another popular movie that came out. I think it was called In the Pursuit of Happiness and everything, where a person might have been in the ghetto, but was also able to go into corporate America. So I'm imagining that you were probably able to go between the gangster world and the corporate world at different times. So did you have that ability as well?
It's funny you say that. It's so funny you say that because I'm from Harlem. I'm a high school dropout, uh, and I got in the military and scored high on it for no reason at all. And I'm a dummy. And I didn't know this. It all came out later. And with the fire department, that job was technical. I'm talking about the qualifications for my job as a fire inspector,
Mm-hmm.
fire prevention. We're more powerful than police.
Right.
Police need warrants.
Mm-hmm.
Fire inspector need nothing.
Right.
And so that makes us so powerful. I can write you a violation to shut down your establishment. That's a power that I had. How did I get that position where my brethren, my coworkers, they were chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, and all these all these degrees, right? And I come in. I'm one of the youngest, to get in this job, you know what I mean? And I'm from Harlem and I wore that badge, from the street, you know what I mean? I'm not wearing no tie or suit. I'll wear, that's me. And nobody could figure that out. My coworkers, I got maybe arrested maybe 3 or 4 times on my job.
Mm-hmm.
And they looking at me, what did I don't know why, but the chief of my fire prevention, her name was Laura Squassoni. For some reason, she liked me, and because I don't know why, but she saved me. But when it came down to the supervisor test, out of the 300 and something fire inspectors with all these degrees, when we took the supervisor test,
Mm-hmm.
this high school dropout came in at number 16. And I didn't even know what happened when I walked into the office that day, the firehouse. Everybody started clapping, like looking at me like, but you got to understand, I'm ill repute. I'm that problem child specter, but how did I outscore all them and they got degrees up to Kulo? You know what I mean? So It's funny you said that. And I can maneuver in corporate worlds because I was an inspector. I dealt with everybody, blue collar, white collar, executive. I'm talking everything. And I'll come in here. I had a badge, but I didn't look like an inspector. They took me off as a messenger.
Right.
I play the game. It happens so often. I'll just stand by and looking dumb. And then they yell at me. I told you the messenger sent her around the corner. Then I just say, what makes you think I'm a messenger?
Right.
Pause. Then I pull out my badge. Oh my God. They drop their head. It just, it always, it's so
When,
funny. Yeah.
when were you first a fire officer and everything? Because I know that next year will be the 25th anniversary of 9/11 and everything like that. And I didn't know if you were a fire person at that particular time or if you'd been a fire person much later after 9/11. So when did you first get involved in firefighting?
I think it was 92.
Okay. So you were there when
So
9/11 took place.
yeah, I was there, and that was part two of what I was going to tell you. That was the second time I lost my mind. I ran. That was my greatest shame. I retired at 39. I didn't know what was wrong. My health, I couldn't come outside anymore. And when I saw the bodies falling and the earth shaking, I lost it. And I ran. I ran over people. And then I lived in Harlem, and I'm downtown at the tip of Manhattan. And I walked all the way home in a daze in a fighter uniform, hat, everything. And people was pulling me and I couldn't talk. I lost it. And I had to leave. I had to medically leave, and that's when writing saved me.
Right. Wow.
I lost
Mm.
everything. I lost my family. I started heavy using drugs and alcohol. I lost my kids. I was homeless. I was making maybe $80,000 back then, and I was homeless, living in the firehouses.
And I think
And
that's what the pursuit of happiness was. I think that gentleman was homeless too before he went into corporate America. Because I think he, if I remember the book correctly, and I have the book laying around here somewhere and everything, he was homeless and then wound up going to work for the stock market and everything like that. So he was actually involved as a homeless individual as well. And then they turned that into a movie. I think Will Smith might have been in that movie if I remember correctly, and
Mhm.
everything like that. But just
So,
real
right,
Trey,
quickly, I'm
so,
gonna turn it back over to Yonder and everything. One, Reginald Kearney did say great show, and he's the original host and everything
sir,
along those lines. I was just curious if you've ever had any dealings when you were in the fire department, because we talk about him quite often on this network, Pod TV, and everything. So I was wondering if you ever had any personal dealings with the current president, who is also a New York real estate agent. So I was wondering in your work if you ever had any personal dealings with Mr. Trump.
zero,
Zero.
zero, none at all. Nothing to do with that. That's not even my universe. I don't know nothing
yeah,
about that.
and we can leave that at that.
We can
Hey,
leave it at
Treasure.
that. Like I said, I knew you had corporate things, and I didn't know maybe you got cited him for a fire infraction.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. And I appreciate that. I got to look up that Alex Haley. But before I forget, you know what I mean? That same time when after 9/11, I start entering, I can't even, that's when the mental hospitals, I lived in them.
Did he fade off?
He fade off. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I was seeing that. That's what he faded off. Hopefully, he'll come back and everything. I was actually going to look for him for that thing, but I know definitely there was a time that Alex Haley wrote. I think he was in the Navy and everything, so he might have had some issues with his
Hopefully he
computer.
pops back on real soon. Hopefully
Yeah,
he'll pop back
yeah.
on.
Hopefully, he'll pop back on. He was a fascinating interview, and like you said, you've been talking to him and everything like that. So, yeah, it says that. During long patrols, Haley began writing letters to friends and relatives, sometimes sending over 40 a week. He received in reply almost as many letters as he sent out and became somewhat famous among his shipmates. So at that time, he was in it looks like he was involved possibly in the trying to think. Yeah, he was Coast Guard. He was in the United States Coast Guard when he was writing for folks and everything like that. As a matter of fact, the Coast Guard actually recommissioned one of his ships as the USCGC Alec Haley in July of '99, and is currently serving from Kodiak, Alaska. But yeah, that's when he was writing for folks. So I don't know. Let's see. It looks like he might be back on and everything. So
Okay,
Do you
cool. Okay, you
do you
back?
see?
Okay.
yeah, he's back.
I
Yeah,
mean,
we
yeah.
Okay.
and that
Hey,
Okay,
I'm
comes.
there you go.
sorry. I
There you
don't
go.
know where I left off. My son called me, and
And
Your
sometimes
phone.
the people call you to
Right.
interfere with the phone call, things like that.
yeah,
I was
Okay,
just
you were talking about the mental hospitals.
right. The mental
yeah.
hospitals.
I started when I was with the fire department. I grew paranoid. I was losing my mind. I didn't trust nothing. I couldn't come outside no more. I just stayed in, and then they put me out the pasture at 39.
Mm.
And but right before that, I came face to face, and it was either like 50 Cent said, "Get rich or die trying."
Mm-hmm.
So a psych told me one day that was so profound it shook me to my core. She said, "Mr. Smalls, you would almost always be as sick as your secrets." That stayed
Mm.
with me many,
Say that again. Hold
many.
up. Say that again, Treasure. Say that again.
She said, "You will always be sick as your secrets." And you got to understand, I've been seeing horror literally since 11. And just the sheer thought of more years like this. I'm military know what's wrong with me. And I really thought it was over. So just the dread of that notion. I lost my children. I lost everything. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna say it all. I'm at the fire department this night, do or die. Sit down and get that shit out. Nobody's ever gonna read it. Just delete. And then I'm writing via Firehouse in the Bronx, Jerome Avenue, crying, real hard tears. And I don't even know what I'm writing, but I'm crying. I'm purging. And then when I got to the secret, the dark secret, and put that shit on paper, a synergy, a load, a life altering load was released. I begin to get purged. The more I wrote, the more I purged. The more I wrote, the more, and it became addictive. That became my
Mm-hmm.
new
Yes.
addiction.
Yes.
And and I gave that first book my freaking soul. The first paragraph in Harlem Girl Lost would tell you what I just told you.
Mm.
Everything that was real.
Mm-hmm.
When I wrote, I was still as scared. Instead of using me, I learned from screenwriting classes. You don't have to tell them who it is. And I did it. I used a girl, Silver Jones.
Which was magnificent.
And I used all my characters, all my sins. See, don't get it twisted. I'm not the victim. I'm the monster, bro. I mean,
Mm.
I was probably once were, but once you vow to yourself, never again. And that's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is, you know, I know who I am. Is I'm not afraid. I'm not ever afraid of that. The curse is I'm gonna die alone. That's the gift. That's a give and take. you know what I mean, to live my life. So that was the sacrifice, the deal I made. So my thing is just to give the world. I'm just a tool now, and I'm content with that.
Amen, brother. And see, this is why I decided to do a forum like this, because it's called Conversation with Friends.
Right.
I don't have any preconceived questions to ask you. I'm asking from what we know and what we hear. And folks don't understand mental health is real. Trying to find yourself among all of your childhood nonsense, your parents' nonsense, your father's nonsense, your neighborhood nonsense. That's a real place that most of us never address.
Which is true, but the only way to get to that is pain and suffering.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's the gift. That's the work. You got to suffer more.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's messing up, hurting themselves, their loved ones, they didn't suffer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes.
I haven't drank alcohol in 2 years, bro.
And folks don't know how hard that is at times. When you
Man, you,
addicted, addiction is addiction. Like I said, I went to alcohol AA when I was probably 19. I got a drunk driving charge, trying not to get it on my record. So I did a probation, urine test, all that stuff. I would not go to the AA meetings because AA meetings in my own mind at 19, you talking about
yeah,
1986. In my mind was something like on Good Times, the wino with the hat on. So when my probation officer told me, hey, if you don't do this, we're gonna lock you up. I said, well, I did all the urine tests. I got a job. I'm doing good. He said, no, they need you to go to AA classes. So I went to AA class. This is a funny thing. Here's the story, Treasure. I went to AA class with a skull cap on, a hoodie on, what you call it, a turtleneck on, trying to disguise myself. I get into AA class, Treasure, everybody got suits on. Cause they trying not to get it, they trying not to get a DUI on their record either. So I'm in here thinking I'm hiding. People in here going there before work. And one of the things I learned in AA class, he said, most of us are gonna be addicted to something. It's just if you're gonna get rid of it. And I was like, okay, who you talking to? So we in there every day. I had to go twice a week. I was going 5 times, 6 times a week because I was getting fed. I was getting fed. It was the craziest thing because I'm going in here hiding originally. And everybody else is they out. Like, look, we trying to get this off our record. If you finish your AA classes, it disappears. You don't have a record anymore. Become a OWI, which is operating while under influence, which is actually a traffic ticket and not a criminal offense.
right.
I'm working for the feds and got clearances and things of that. So I'm trying to make sure they get. But it was the biggest learning lesson I've ever had because folks were saying how they became addicted. Some of them were addicted for this reason, and then there were the excuses. Hey, I just drink for fun. Come on, we drink because we want to get drunk. Ain't nobody drinking for pleasure now.
Right.
And that's the first sign of admitting what you're doing. So I got you completely. I got you completely, man. Man, I love talking to folks like you. First of all, I love talking to friends because we never let, and with black men, we never let that out. We wear a mask. I am in 2 anthologies now called Black Men's Mental Health. I'll send them to you. Send me an address, I'll send them to you. And it's 22 men in each book, and everybody talking about their own mental health. And everybody's different. I mean, you got a doctor, you got a lawyer, you got regular Joe, you got this, you got a barber, you got myself. We just writing about what was our mental health and how did we deal with it. And everybody dealt with it differently. No, I ain't gonna say no one dealt with it wrongly, but everybody dealt with it differently. And because we all suffer from it. Mental health
Right.
issues. ADHD, PTSD, all of these, OPP, we got them all.
You know, it's funny you say ADHD. I was that reckless child where I got called that when in my era, any bad kid was labeled
Mm-hmm.
ADD.
Mm-hmm.
I was to it. And then lo and behold, turns out I was late diagnosed with it, but I be only because I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I understand it, and it had the positive effect because as I look back into my childhood, the very quirks and things that I was got ostracized for it,
Mm-hmm.
I feel justified
Yes.
because the neurodivergent type of thing. You know what I mean? I'm like the epitome poster child of that, and I hate to admit that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I all the PTS, I got that, but you know, it's the understanding.
Yes.
Do get it because I don't know a person that's had never been called crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? I've been called the weirdo, and I just been called these my whole life. Now, after I went through after the pain,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the happiest I ever been in my life. I'm talking about my greatest fear because I'm an abandoned child. I mean, I cried as a kid and had to be tough because I miss my mother. I miss my
Mm-hmm.
mother. I miss my family. I was by myself, 15, eating, clothing on my own. And when you had to be tough, you build up impenetrable walls to
Yes.
protect you from hurt
Protect
getting in.
yourself. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But life is a duality. When you effectively block hurt, pain, disappointment from getting in, guess what's happening to all the turmoil? It doesn't get out.
It don't
And
go. It don't go nowhere.
I was stuck with that, and I was an angry person. I was an angry man. I was a anyone who know me, and I'm on like TV. Everybody who know me know this ain't cap. I just really thought I was retarded,
Mm-hmm.
and now it all makes sense. And now I'm mastering to be like Yonder. You my role model. You my
Man.
white rabbit. You my you. I want to be nice, and I do this in Walmart, Starbucks. I'm very nice and I'm jovial. And I remember I used to eat people as a kid if I didn't know how to talk to girls. I ate Ron O'Neal, Goldie. That was my game.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's no different now. I'm learning to be nice. I can lie. I can be smooth. I can romance anything and anyone. But it was never sincere. And now I'm learning that what you naturally have, which is a gift. And by the way, you're going to be big in this podcast land. I said it first.
Man, treasure. Folks like you in this industry, as you know, you don't
Mm-hmm.
meet there's a few of you guys that actually call friends. You, Kwame, some of the new authors, my buddy Troy, both Troy Rollins and Troy Leggett, legit, my barber. It's a couple of folks I really call friends. My buddy Lonnie, Kiva. But you don't meet folks that you call friends, and just not just this industry, just as a whole, just being the black man that we are. We're protective of everything. We don't trust nobody, and you get in that place. But when you meet folks like you, and I'm gonna tell folks the caliber of folks I met Treasure when he was here. I was Joe Nobody. There was not a time that I called him that he didn't answer the phone. I mean, he was doing this. You was there. You were there. You were there. You were selling books. You've been at the big side of this. You've been with some of the biggest publishers. You was with Cash Money Records, Cash Money Books. Come on, you don't get bigger than that in our industry. And I called you.
And Random House was the first one to sign me.
The big boys. You come on. People
Yeah.
don't even understand. That's the big boy.
Yeah. And that's my see, up with the mental aspect of it, like ADHD, even though there's some disadvantages to that, you also have some superpowers. I swear to God, ever since I was a kid, nobody could out hustle me. My father was a street vendor his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
He taught us the gift of gab, how to approach women. That's why I became so good. And then it was become competition with all my older brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I had to beat them. And then one by one, I beat them.
So
Harlem
are you
Book
the
Fair.
youngest, Treasure?
Yeah,
And that's funny you said that because I'm the youngest.
really.
My wife says to this day, when I'm with my brothers and sisters, we playing cards, and she said, everything in competition, y'all. I said, that's how I was brought up. Everything, even my kids to this day, we'll compete to see who got to the mailbox quicker.
Exactly.
Every
Yeah.
I grew up in competition. I'm the youngest, so I had to be fastest. I grew up in competition, and it was a good, unhealthy thing. But it
It
made
definitely
me.
was. You had a roadmap. Thank
Yes.
them. You know what I mean? Our oldest brothers and sisters had to figure it out. Us, we just had a measuring stick. If I
Yeah.
beat my next oldest,
Mm-hmm.
I can get to the next one. That was my game. I had to beat you. And now, since we fast forward, uh, I'm happy to announce that I'm making a transition into
Am
the
I doing a drum
TV
roll?
world, into the TV world as a staff
Oh,
writer. That's all I can say about that for now.
I understand the non-disclosures and everything, but I want to get it first. Treasure Blue is going
You
on
got it.
TV, y'all.
You got it first. See, a lot of people didn't know this. Before I was a novelist, I was a screenwriter that won a big contest in the West Village in Manhattan. I beat out all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of my story too, where everybody told me I'm smart. I am a high school dropout. I was called dumb all
Mm-hmm.
my life. You got to understand. I was retarded. So I had my competitive nature. I
Mm-hmm.
dropped out of 3 different high schools. I was called dumb my whole life. I gotta know, am I really dumb or smart? So I went back to college just to see. Let me go with the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed up for John Jay University.
Mm-hmm.
And then that school, Black History Month, they had Black History essay contests. Now here's karma, here's God. I wrote this essay. It was called The Bastard and the American Soldier. I told the story when I lost my mind up in North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it won. I beat out college students. I'm
Mm-hmm.
considered old. I think I went back to college at like 35,
Mm-hmm.
just to see. And then once I saw, I dropped out. I
Mm-hmm.
was smarter than them exponentially, but I had to see. And also, that was a turning point because for Black History Month, they had an author coming to the school.
Mm-hmm.
My professor told me about it. and they said they were going to have free food. Remember, I'm all my money going for 3 families for my 4 children.
Mm-hmm.
I was a whore. But I was homeless, living in the fire department, and I had to go back to school. My first day, my ex-girlfriend in Brooklyn put me out, and I had to go to college that same day homeless. And it was so funny. The professor said, yeah, we're going to have a writer in a building, and we're going to have some food and drinks. I was hungry. I was starving. And I only stayed around to get it. And then you know who that author was that gave that speech?
Who?
Shannon Holmes.
Oh, come on. Be more careful. Come on.
Be more careful, bro. True
Come
story.
on.
This is God. And so I'm hearing this brother talk. Bronx brother. He from them streets. I know him. And been in jail. I know the mentality. But he told me about True to the Game, Cherry Woods.
Come on.
She got him, and it became a bestseller. And he piqued my curiosity. I waited till I got paid again, because I'm broke. And then I brought True to the Game and Be More Careful.
Be More Careful. Come on, boy. That's like the Mount Rushmore of urban fiction. Come on.
Now watch. I read over 1,000 books before I turned 25, secretly, by the way. My mother was a 5th grade school teacher, and I got addicted to books. I played hooky in the library. I was a freaking kiddo.
I understand completely. Books is our addiction.
Right. And then when Shannon came there, I saw me. And he piqued my curiosity. And then I purchased those books, read them both. And I said, this is what they want. I've been reading Donald Goins.
Right, exactly.
Been 7th grade, I've been reading him. And I said, yo, that sounds like something I could do.
Yes.
And then the crossroad met when I was going to lose it. And then I bled on my computer.
Yes.
Right. Firehouse. And if you get my book, it's going to start off, Dear Silver. It was Dear Stephen. It was Dear Treasure. That was the real life transcripts. It was do or die moment. Either I'm going to get it out now or I'm going to do that. I couldn't do it no more. I lost the one thing I ever wanted in my life. I lost it, which was my family. Once I lost that, I didn't want it no more. That's where I was. And so that unfurling, I purged all the toxic things I ever had in me, and I cried and I cried and I cried. But everything that you read in that book was from the soul, bro, written in blood.
Bro, I can tell, bro. I told you I had anxiety attacks. I cried. I got mad. I hated you. Everything I could feel. My toes were tingling. My ears was mad. I picked that book up again like, man, she better do right.
And I wrote this. I said, a good writer write the stories, the tragic stories within, I'm paraphrasing, around them. A great writer tells a story from within them, give up their dark secrets within them. A good writer give up the dark secrets around them. A great writer gives up the dark, deep secrets within them. Treasure Blue. And that's the difference. If you don't cry are writing it, neither will the readers. If you don't laugh when you writing it, neither will the readers. If you don't punch the throw the book, give up, neither will the readers.
Man,
So
that's a sermon right there on writing right there. Because like you said, you're one of the only books that have ever done it to me. Because like you said, I was mad. I hated you. I loved you. I had anxiety. I was sweating. I had these emotions. I was going through the rest of my day and couldn't function because I got to pick this book back up and see what they did.
I
It was like a
understand.
story that never ended.
It's like this. Here's where I got it, and this is where I got it. It's when my brain shifted as a writer. When my professor, screenwriter professor, the great Alvin Ing, he said, and this is when I got it. Don't tell the readers about the sunrise. Make them
Make them
feel
feel
the
it.
sunrise
Make them feel it.
fast
Make them feel it.
bodies. And that's my trick. I don't tell you. I don't tell you nothing. If it's not translucent through my words, my honesty, my brutal honesty. And that's why I'm alone. Because I'm weird. I'm not that type of person. I see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, it's a good thing. And I wouldn't want another life other than right now.
I love how you said that. Don't tell them about it. Make them feel it. And
Make them
one of my books, I talked about Union Station in D.C. I wrote that piece at Union Station because I had to let you understand that Fat Tuesdays was right down the hallway, but how this place was built, the majesty of how they built this place, these circles up there, how they went this way and went that way. And I had to have you to feel, I couldn't just talk about Union Station without going down there to let you understand that I wrote this piece at Union Station in DC. Because you could go
wow.
down there, but you was like, I know where he talking about it. Where the homeless folks are on the left-hand side, on the other side of McDonald's, and
Yeah.
hustlers out front of it. And like I said, in a certain place where they had Fat Tuesdays down there, you could see how they invented the station back in 1900s or whatever. And when you read that piece, you was like, I know what that is. I know what somebody wrote their name Boo Boo from DC on the side or somewhere. It's still been there. They try to mask it with all sorts of paint and everything, but it still say Boo Boo from DC. Or
Really?
something like that. And I wrote that piece in there because I understood what you're actually saying. I couldn't, like you said, don't tell them about it, make them feel
Don't
it.
tell them.
They were in Union Station, that whether they had ever been to Union Station or this is their first time, they would go look for those spots that I talked about.
Right. Show don't tell.
Yep.
Show don't tell, brother. You know.
You definitely got to do that. There's no doubt about that. Y'all still got minutes and y'all can go over and everything like that. But Treasure, I did have a question for you. You mentioned being from Harlem and everything like that, and I know that there is a major, and you're got a TV appearance, but there's a major theater company there that as well, which is the Negro Ensemble Company with Woody
That's
King
good.
and all along those lines. And actually, I had a good friend that passed away not that long ago, Garland Thompson, who had the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. His son still runs that and everything. So I was just wondering if you had any inclinations of having any of your things turned into plays, because definitely there is some major black theater that is in New York.
It's funny you say that. Remember, I'm a weirdo.
Right.
Um, Even when I came out the army, my world was expanded, and Harlem became too small for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt always didn't feel good in my own skin. So the only place in the city that I ever felt not judged, just I could be myself, was a village.
Mm-hmm.
None but weirdos down there. And so through that, I'm saying all this to say that I actually interned at the Negro Ensemble Company
Yes.
on 3rd Street in Manhattan. I did the summer intern there, and I ran the sounds and lights. I'm a technical guy. What can I say? And I'm on it in. And they was doing the soldier play.
Right.
Soldier stuff. I invented this when they did that speech with Sarge,
Mm-hmm.
and we saw getting. I turned it red, like when he was showing that anger,
Right.
and then I lifted it. They praised me, and then another unknown fact. I also was on stage as a stand-in and had a role doing one of their plays one time.
Oh, wow. Who were you a stand-in for?
We would it was just like the military
Yeah.
military raw type of deal. You know
Right.
what I mean? Hey, that type of deal. That's all it was.
Cool.
You know what I mean? And it was just a fun experience. I was young and I'm a shy dude. Yeah, from my nature, you would think I'm open, but no, I'm a introvert and I'm shy, but I can lie and I can act very well.
Mm-hmm.
So, only could be like this around people like you guys. I feel comfortable, but I can know how to switch up for
Oh,
the
yeah.
moment. You know what I mean? But like I said, uh, film and television, that's my next endeavors. That was the thing that survived me my whole life. It was
Mm-hmm.
the thing that saved my life. Seeing Officer and a Gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
When I walked out that movie theater
Mm-hmm.
at I was 17. I
Mm-hmm.
think I just turned 17 and I was celebrating. No, it was July. Never forgot. Went there, saw it, and I broke down and cried. I'm by
Wow.
myself, but and then when I left 116th Street, I come out, ready to go home, go across the street, I look up, Army recruiting station.
Right.
I said, nah, I can't get in the Army, I'm too dumb. And then I punched myself in the face for being a punk, being scared. That's the tactic I did back then for
Mm-hmm.
courage. And I punched myself in the face and said, stop being a punk. And I went upstairs. That man asked me um, 2 questions. How old are you and do you have a diploma?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I'm not 18. I'm still 17 and I do have a GED though.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said, take this test. A month later, I was in the military.
Wow. Yeah, serving the military. Is that your favorite military movie, Officer and a Gentleman? Because I know that some people like that. Some people like Apocalypse Now. Some people like
I love them all.
Platoon.
I love them all. Every single one of them. I'm a movie man. I mean, I'm in it. As a kid, I went more to the movies alone, and I did it often. I didn't want people around me. When I get into a movie theater, I'm transfixed. I'm in it, and I gotta hear everything, and that's why I'm so detailed because I
Yes, you
see it
are.
all.
Yeah.
Every page in your book is detailed. It sees some
Yeah.
stuff I don't even want to know. When you went down into from talking about the drug addictions, the folks doing drugs to Keisha and Clyde, how she kept the razor blade in her mouth.
Wow,
Man, come
wow.
on, dude. I told you, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. How they both were in juvenile detention center, man. Man, come on, dude. I told you, Treasure. I'm a fan. Your work, mind you, I don't know how old Harlem Girl Lost is. I don't know how old Keisha and Clyde is. But I can tell you pieces and parts of those books right now.
It's 21 years old.
Get out of here.
May 21 years.
Get out of here, bruh. She had a razor blade that she kept under her tongue.
Yeah. Oh, come on. That's Rikers Island. That's C-74. That's Spofford. You know what I mean? Juvenile detention, places I've been. I
Then she
mean,
met him in the alley. After it was all over, and they was like, "Oh, we in, we locked
yeah.
in," and they took care of each other.
And I think this is possibly the saddest part. And I would be remiss if I don't share this. When I was like 15, 16, 15, 14, 15, 16 year old, that period, I didn't like going home. So just like the rest of us, we used to go down to 42nd Street. The old 42nd Street where the pimps, hustlers, everybody was there, the juveniles. And back then in a train station, it was a playroom. And that's where all us kids clicked up. All the runaways, all the riff. I'm talking about the gay. The thing I liked about this is why I don't judge people. I felt shamed. My mother was an alcoholic, and I saw things, and I was always teased, and I always felt small. So I know if somebody talk about my mother, I'm fighting. Period. So I'm always fighting, and so I just need a break from people who won't judge me, and the people who didn't judge me is the runaways, the dealers, the gays, the prostitutes, all of my friends, the drug dealers. I sold drugs. I'm talking about the old school Harlem days.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And when we all was the same way, and this is the saddest story I'm going to say. When I had an apartment. So I was a big dude. To just have a place to stay, you know, I was big, but I didn't like people. I bring the girls, my girlfriends, and we do what we do. And in the middle of the night, after we did what we did, these young girls, we 14, 15, at that quiet hour, for some reason, they feel comfortable telling me their stories. And this is the first time I ever heard the evil that men and women do to children. And they cry. And this happened on multiple occasions, different little girls. We all was juvenile. And then that's their time for their healing where they hug me tight and cry and tell me their stories. And I didn't know how to love. They used to say, hug me. They just want to hug. And I used to do the best I can. But they needed to get that cry out on somebody's shoulder. And the horror stories that they told me are the genesis of my books. Because all my friends, we suffered out there. And no child should ever have to go through what we went through. And I know these people, they was good kids, good people. I used to sell drugs and I used to wait for the prostitutes to get off. That's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning so I can sell out and go home. And it was one particular person. She was transsexual, very big. But she didn't try to hit on me. I'm like maybe 15 and she was like a mother hen. And baby, you shouldn't be out here. She used to always say, baby, you too young, you should be in school. And she was real protective, like a mother. And she used to always give me advice, be safe. And then one day, this guy came in Say, yo, got somebody want to buy a bundle. I'm like, I want to get off. And I walk with him in the block, 117 in 8th Avenue. And then as I'm walking in the block, I big rip from behind. It was my birdie. She pulled me behind her, had a knife, and said, baby, give her that mother want to set you up. They set Reggie up. Reggie got another dealer who got shot up just a days ago. He was the same dude that set Reggie up, was trying to set me up. And then when she pulled me, the car that was going to get me drove off. They almost killed me. And Birdie, a transvestite who loved me, didn't want nothing from me but me being safe, risked her life for me. And that's my Birdie in Harlem Girl Loss. That's my tribute. Because everybody that was considered the scum, the rats, they was my friends. They was the ones who never once judged me when I felt like stir-fried doodle my whole childhood, teenage years. You know what I mean?
And Birdie's one of my favorite characters in that book. I always wondered what happened to Birdie, because you're right. In the book, how she took care of you, and I was like, oh man. And see, growing up in the hood, folks don't realize this, that there are certain people who you gravitate towards who take care of you. No one else even knows about them. Everybody else treats them like doo-doo, like you said. And they're your protection, and they've been your protection.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy who the least likely people in your lifetime. And I experienced that in the civilian world and the military. The least person, we was in some real stuff. And the one who really should us the least likely person to come to your rescue. You know what I mean? This is why, you know what I mean? I am, I ask God for my curse as a kid to protect my brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest, but I was the toughest. When the doctors told, and it's a funny story, sad story. My mother was an alcoholic, you know what I mean? And she was in a lot of mental, it was traumatic. And then I remember going to a psych hospital. That's where they used to keep cure alcohol patients back then.
Yes, they sure
in
did.
The psych. And so this doctor, I remember seeing a close-up of a white man with blue eyes. It scared the shit out of me as a kid. He scared me, and I remember it kind of scared everybody. And then my older sister, when we all got home, she had us in a huddle, and she said, the doctor said, statistically, one of her children's going to turn out just like her. I saw horror. Man, no child should ever have to do that. I knew that I was a sacrificial lamb, and I was much tougher, even though I was the youngest. I went to my room that same day, got on my knees and asked God, let it be me, with pleasure. And guess what? I've been to hell. Bro, I don't know why I'm here. I almost died so many times. And I'm here. I've come to the conclusion I'm here for a real reason. You know what I mean? And here I am, and this blessing just happened. You will be one of the first person I told you about. And it's my life is like my father taught us. It's no longer about me. He used to always say, it's about the ones coming up. I'm just a vessel, a tool.
That is so true. Well, I follow you on Facebook, and I know you personally. Tell me about them young men you're developing, your kids.
Repeat that.
I say I know you personally, but everybody else don't know what you're doing with your kids, your young men. I see you on social media with them all the time. They're doing big things. Tell me about them young men.
Well, like I said, you either going to be a friend. I mean, it is what it is. I never was a friend of my children. I'm a discipline. I'm a military guy. I put my fears on them. They got to be tough. And I was tough on all my children. And because of that, I don't have a relationship with two of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But that's the blessing and the curse. Life is a duality. You got to take the good with the bad. You know what I mean? That was the very thing that kept me asunder for many years. I was hurt, but I had to let go. And it's not a coincidence. I just turned 61, and this last 2 years was the happiest, the most beautiful, the most peaceful time in my life. I don't recall. It's like I woke up from a coma, and I'm happy every day. I wake up and I'm by myself. I don't even watch television, bro. I haven't watched television in 2 years.
Hey, Treasure, just real quickly, we got a lot of kids here in Durham, North Carolina, where I'm at, and my brother works
Hey,
with risk youth and everything like that.
bro,
I was just
bro,
wondering, what is
Hey,
your thought?
Mark. He trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm in Raleigh.
Oh, you're in Raleigh? Cool. Yeah, I'm just around the corner.
I'm
You guys?
by Durham.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're in Raleigh. I'm in Durham. You all right? Yeah, I just talked to a friend of mine that was just in Raleigh earlier today and everything like that. So I got friends in Raleigh. Got a lot of friends in Raleigh. So we'll have to go by.
If you ever need me, you got my man, my ace coon boom. Anything for him.
Okay.
And Cabell. That's
Well,
it.
that's cool. Well, like I said, there's a Durham Cultural Arts Center called the Hayti Heritage Center. So I'm literally worked for them and everything. So it's right there near North Carolina Central University and everything. So that's where one of my places that I work at is that particular Cultural Arts Center. It's an old converted church.
Can you repeat that?
It's the Hayti Heritage Center. It's an old converted church, but it's one of the places that I work at. They do poetry, they do plays, they do a lot of music concerts, they do all kinds of stuff. But it's here in Durham. They just celebrated their 50th anniversary this year. So 2025 is their 50th anniversary. They started back in 75.
When the show is over, Treasure, I'm gonna hook you up with Mark because he's right down your way.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
That's what I used to do in the village. That's the biggest part of New York. I miss the village, the theater, and the plays. I attended those. I'm that weirdo that used to go in there. Yeah, thank you. We're going to talk.
Yeah, we'll be definitely talking everything. But I was just wondering what advice, because my brother works with at-risk youth and everything, would you give to folks that are seeing some of our kids, particularly our Black and brown kids that are getting too caught up in the gangs? And a lot of times it's because they don't have families of their own. So they go for the other family, which is the gang family. So as a weirdo and as one that was in that life, what advice would you give to people that are trying to get them out of that life?
They got to suffer more. Simple. They got to suffer more. They got hurt. I mean, the preludes to joy and happiness is pain and suffering. Mm-hmm. I mean, they gotta suffer just like me. I scorched earth when I was out there. So the way I got out of it, I had to suffer. My family had to. My sisters, I'm the baby. They had to cut me off. They told my father, cut me off. I had to suffer. And once I suffered enough, and if I survive, that's how it worked. Nothing else. Yep. Nothing.
That makes sense.
Nothing. I mean, I've been in more places like that. And I spoke at Rikers Island, juvenile detention centers, colleges, symposium. They blew me out trying to figure out how did this first-time author sell 65,000 books independently. These people paid me very well to speak in symposiums for intellectual crowds.
Speaking of independent authors, do you know a gentleman? He's actually a friend of mine and a late friend got him out of the prison system and got him to be an author. He's now married. But since you're in Holly, do you know Mike Anderson, who wrote the book Polished Souls, which was about his life? He was in the prison as well. He actually served time for manslaughter, if I remember correctly. But he's here in the Raleigh-Durham area as well. So he connected with, but his name is Mike Anderson. His wife, who does a lot of work in the is LaWanda Anderson Lee, but he's got the same last name as I do and everything. But Mike Anderson, well, her name is the last, I think, but Mike Anderson is his name. But look up Polished Souls because he does a lot of work with troubled kids as well. But he's an author as well.
Hey, we each for the brothers. I'm at the behest of Yonder. If you ever need me, I'm at your disposal, sir.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind and everything. I'm gonna turn you back over to Yonder, and y'all can wrap it up. But you did mention something that I found very unique and everything. We get together, family gathering. As a matter of fact, when Thanksgiving comes around, we'll probably wind up playing either Scrabble or Taboo or games and everything. It's kind of like dominoes, but we'll wind up playing those board. A competitive family, whether it's me, my younger brother, my nephews, or my aunts and mom and everything. So I think that's a Black family thing where we get together and we get those games going.
I'm by myself. I have no one. I don't really socialize. I actually was a self-proclaimed hermit for the past 8 years. I didn't come out.
Wow.
I have a big old house. I didn't come out. Gotcha. And I'm just after to get here, like I said, you got to give up something. I almost died in this back room. And my son just happened to be staying with me at that time. And I didn't know I was dying back there. And I just woke up and paramedics in my house.
Wow.
I got to the hospital and they ran like bat out of hell. I woke up days later telling me I almost died. 72 hours if my son didn't call. Bring me in. And I'm here for a reason. And I don't even worry anymore. And all these blessings, since I let go and let God, is coming. Everything that I couldn't even dream. You're going to be so surprised, Yonder. I just can't say it.
You said the word right there. You said you let go and you let God. We become our own gods because we try to hold on to stuff. We have to end the interview, Treasure, but I'm going to have you back. What I always ask my guests is to leave the folks with something to go on, because your inspiration can change someone's life right now. What would you say to, and actually this is just for, and I ain't going to say for the author, for up and coming authors who want to be independent or whatever, but give us something to go on for the next time we see you.
Okay. I mean, I got so much, man. But I'll just say, I'll leave with this. This is one of the best things that helped me when I got into the book business. And I read this in Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. Kimbrough.
Kimbrough,
And it said cause and effect. And I took it to memory for years. And I repeat it often, and I'm going to repeat it. Cause and effect is a mental law which we write out day by day. If your thoughts are the causes and the conditions in your life are the effects, if you ever want to know the status of your thoughts, you need only to look at your present conditions.
Let me tell folks, Treasure Blue is a treasure to me. He's been my friend from the first day I met him. Gave me his phone number. But what I want to tell you guys is I've always made this form a conversation with friends. I don't have no preconceived notes. I don't send them any questions. Friends just talking.
Peace.
I want to thank you for,
Thank you,
first of
sir.
all, coming on Conversation with Friends, but I want to thank you for being my friend. Thank you again. I give you Treasure Blue.
Thank you so much, man. I mean, and it's so funny that you did this because I was getting, because I got things and I know that I'm going to have to start getting up and seeing people. And then you come along, broke that fear, something I ain't doing in a long time. I didn't even a hermit. And I said yes to you only because of you. I turned down countless this in the past, countless. Last week, recently. But that first time you told me to come on, man, I went to the hospital that night.
I know, man. You called you FaceTime, and that was the funniest thing. I was like, hold up. He supposed to be online. You said, man, I'm in the house, dude. I'm sick, man. And I was like, man, and I was figuring out, okay, I got to get him on. I asked my folks. I said, but I, I can't really. I wanted to
Bro,
start my show with you. That's how I feel about you. I was like, if I want a show, I want to start. I've been wanting to interview you for 20 years.
got you, bro. And I'm happy to be here, man. I'm excited because you're perfect for this world. I want to be your partner because you the yin to my yang.
And like you
We the
said,
good
look,
the
we're gonna
good
put this
company.
out. Treasure, we're gonna go ahead and put it out. Treasure and Yonder are working on a show. Point blank.
Now here's how unselfish. Here's how much love I got for you, bro. You don't need me, bro. You. That's my gift. You shine. Nobody can touch your light. Yonder. Period. I want to. I'm going to push and get you as much material, people, places, and things you need because you're a good dude. Always been good to me, sir, and that's rare.
And I'm gonna put this in the air. I know you know him personally. I've met him numerous times. I want Quan.
Listen, I'm going to.
I want Quan. Me and Quan met
I'm,
years ago, worked together on some stuff. Every time he came to town to do a book signing, I was in New York, did a book signing. I want Quan because if there is another urban legend, it's you and Quan. Quan
let me
still
tell you.
writing animal. I love this brother's work. It's something about you New York brothers that do it differently. You know that.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to say this. Quan is my literary hero, my mentor, my OG. And I'm older than him. And I have no problem calling him my OG because just like when Eddie Murphy said, when he saw Rick James for the first time, I met Quan on the streets on 25th Street. He embraced me, man. And then I'm talking about I just had my book come out and having my first book signing. And it was big. It was going to be big. And I met Quan. I said, yo, sir, I'm going to have a book and it will be an honor for you to show up. Just like you said, I wrote my name on your thing. Homeboy, I just told him it's going to be this date, here. Bro, it was in Lenox Lounge. My man said, yo, Quan's here. When I said, what? He walked through that, I saw the glow. I saw the
Come
aura.
on,
Just
bro.
like,
That's how I
yo,
feel about y'all,
young
man.
kid. He's a kid.
He
But
the
this
king.
dude,
He's the
and let me
king.
tell you something. It's not a single author. I'm talking about me and him spent many, many nights purging our soul on our past and history. One-on-one. That's where we was. And Quan, when I tell you something, you got dudes that front and talk a good game. I saw with my oculars. Quan said, I don't do I'm me, bro. I don't do the fan. I don't. And then it was proven on. I seen some of the biggest name, like Baby. I said, yo, Baby over there, let's go. We both got signed to them. James. He said, nah, man. He was just on some cool shit. And then it was basically, yo, and sure enough, every author we went over there hugging, Quan stood his ground position. Baby went over to Quan. Never seen nothing like that in my life. That Quan is that dude for real, for real. And he got a story. He got an old soul. I'm talking about, we told stories about our past, even our parents, and we got similar story. We both from Harlem. I'm just going to do everything. If I touch grass first, I'm bringing him with me. Period. I would, just like Carvelis, those two. I will always do that for those two. I would never.
There would be none of us if there was no Carvelis. You could not come to DC and not do a book signing with Carvelis. Carvelis had them all from Zane, you name them. You had to come to Carvelis to do a book signing. DC, he owned DC.
His kids is my nephew and nieces, bro. I got stories to tell, but it's too late. But it was a pleasure, bro.
Man,
Thank you for bringing.
Treasure, you're going to be back. We're going to work on plenty of things. I love you, man. Matter of fact, first of all, I'm a fan. Then I love you as a man because we've been boys from that day to day I met you. I love you, and I gotta let you go right now, but we'll be talking soon, man. Love you, man.
Well,
I give you Treasure Blue.
I will personally call Quan and tell him about Yonder.
Man.
That's how you got it, bro.
Man, the pleasure is all mine, man. Thank you so much. We gotta go because we'll be on here forever. They'll start charging some money, but thank you for breaking the internet today, man.
And let me say the last thing. I'm different. I sleep by 7 o'clock every night, and I'm up by 3 every morning. So I'm different.
You did this in love.
I've never been up this time. Never. For you, but I will. For you, I will.
Man, I love you, man. I appreciate you.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
All right, have a good night. All right.
Good show.